Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Keep It Kula Podcast. My name is Jacqueline, and you'll see that there's someone else joined here today. This is one of my great friends. I've known this girl for a little over 5 years. Give it up for Neal.
Hi everyone. I'm happy to be on
Woo!
the podcast.
Uh, so Neal, like you remember when I started this podcast, it was during COVID. Didn't see anyone. I was one of those people, stayed home. Um, but as you know too, I also had a bunch of athletes on, insiders on, had some really cool people, but I never brought on friends, Like it was just something that we never did. So I said, screw it, I'm doing it now. So you are my first solo guest and my first friend guest.
Thank you. I'm very honored.
So if the people who know Neal who are watching this are gonna love this, that you're on this podcast, on a sports podcast. The people who don't know you are gonna be like, what's so interesting about this girl being on the podcast? Um, and then so with that, I want you to share a little bit of your sports story of how you got a little bit interested in some football and especially the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, so that's full creds to you. Honestly, going back, probably this was our second season, our second year doing fantasy.
Mhm.
Before that, I honestly probably couldn't tell you one thing about football other than I knew the primary goal was to get the ball from one end to the other. And I thought, okay, how could that be so hard?
Yeah.
Really, really smart comment. I didn't really have a full grasp of the ins and outs and what actually went into football. Um, the first year we did fantasy last year, I kind of went in blind, not really knowing much about it. Like I said, kind
Well,
of.
we can give a little disclosure first. We did fantasy in 2023. It was our first year all not together because we all just graduated from undergrad that summer, that spring. Um, and I think it was Alex who messaged us about, so we have a very big friend group. I'm sure I'll get all of you guys on. So you're
Probably
also
about 12
first.
of us.
You're also first out of the 12 of us, so congrats on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
and you're not even here. You're in Ottawa now for school. I'm still in Toronto, so this is also really nice because obviously we don't see you that much anymore. I know you have major FOMO. That's
I
okay.
miss you guys all so much.
I know. We miss you too. But yeah, so Alex messaged in the group chat being like, guys, we should do fantasy. And everything like, no, but she said because she saw it, I think, on TikTok or something about a bunch of girls drafting based on looks. And listen, I love football for football, but there's a lot of good looking guys in football
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Like, come on, we
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So I said, yeah, like I'm really down, but like we all have to be serious about it. Like I know obviously a lot about football, but like I'm gonna take it really serious. So I set it all up. The draft it started off smooth. I had first pick. I got McCaffrey because come on, it's McCaffrey, and I know he's great too, but I would still pick him no matter what. And then everyone started
Hands
getting the
down.
guys that they liked, and then a lot of people felt like we ran out of guys. Do you remember that? And then
Yeah.
yeah, so then after that happened, people just started drafting because when you do fantasy on the NFL fantasy app, it tells you who's good. So then everyone kind of gave up and just started drafting who was good. But that year was kind of jokes a little bit in total. But this past season was when we all took it seriously, right?
Honestly, I didn't even realize that the app like ranked it. I kind of just went, okay, he's good looking. Okay, cool. And everyone was like, how did you not notice? I was like, listen, I don't know. I kind of just went through it. But I have to say, my first pick was Josh Allen based off purely looks. I didn't know he was a good player. To my surprise, he's obviously fantastic. He's my
Yeah,
favorite.
obviously. Yeah, so then this season. Wait, so your first pick was Allen last year, like in the 2023 season, right?
Well,
So
I don't know if
then
he was my first pick. I think so. And then
Mhm.
everyone was telling me that I shouldn't have picked a quarterback first, and I was like, well, he
Yeah.
did well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But this year going into it, you were saying nobody draft Allen. I don't know where I am in this in the order, but I'm drafting Allen. So then you got Allen this year, and obviously it was successful, right? Um,
especially the 1 week he got me, I think it was like 40 points.
I
That
think he
was
got you more
that
even. I
I
think
think
I know
50.
what you're
That was
talking about.
insane.
He had a great year. I love him too. But sorry, so where we were talking before I cut you off there explaining fantasy. We were talking about how you got interested in football as well, and then doing fantasy got you even more interested, and then you started to like the Bills because of it as well.
Yeah, so even like last year, I still wasn't really like a big fan. I watched the Super Bowl, but like I'd watch it for the halftime show.
Yeah.
Didn't really care at all about the players or anything.
Yeah.
And then last year even, I was like, okay, I'll watch part of it. But this year's when I really got into it. I don't know what hit me, but something. And I started watching a good portion of the Bills games. My
Mhm.
favorite obviously was the Rams and the Bills because that's the one that got me probably the most points. I got 203 points.
The Rams lost that. I mean, the Rams beat the Bills though in that game. So it was bittersweet, right? But it was like the highest. No, because you have Nakua on your team too. So you balled out. You were against me that week,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
I
of
think you got
course.
96 points and I reamed you with 203.
Listen, I'm not the best fantasy player this year though. I'm coming for it. Like I've been nice, but now I've lost 2 years in a row. I'm done. I'm winning this year. I promise you that. But yeah, so like fantasy was so fun to do and it made you really interested and not just you, but our whole friend group. Also, obviously Taylor Swift liking like getting involved in football got a lot of our friends really
Yeah.
interested in
For
as
me,
well.
that was just like, yeah,
Yeah, like you like Taylor, but obviously our friends, some of them are huge Swifties, so that got them even more involved. But so what about Alan though made you like obviously he's a cutie. We know that. Like Haley Steinfeld's engaged to him. We get it. But what really made you like fall in love with him the way that you feel about him now?
honestly, I don't even know. It kind of just hit me one day, but I think he's also just such a good player. And not even that he's a good individual player, but he's a really, really good team player, which to me is huge because yes, you
He's
can
a
be
real
great on your
leader.
own. Yeah, but like the whole point, I guess, like from my understanding of football is you have to have a good team, not just be a good player. Because you could be an amazing player, but if you're on a team, it just
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah, and the thing that Josh did is that is this year that just happened where the Bills were in the AFC Championship game, this was almost supposed to be like a rebuild year because they lost a lot of their good players, including Stephon Diggs in the offseason. The Bills really weren't expected to be AFC go to the AFC Championship. Allen wasn't supposed to have an MVP year. They were supposed to be maybe a wild like slide in the wild card kind of team. But because of the player that Josh Allen is and the leader that he is, he was able to make these kind of no-name players, players who, have been on other teams here and there, or also just rookies who haven't really had their moment in the league. They got to shine because Allen is such a good player and a leader, and he created something so special out of this team that was supposed to be kind of a nothing team.
And I honestly have watched so many interviews and stuff, even just with him, and
Mhm.
seeing where he came from and where he started off, it's honestly pretty remarkable of how amazing of a player he's become.
Yeah, like he had no one interested in him going into college, right? No one was coming to watch him play high school football. He was a nobody. He wasn't supposed to succeed the way he has. So it is really remarkable. But I also know that you love him because he is a good person, right? You see him doing so much charity work, interacting with kids in the hospital. You've seen those videos. You're the one who sends them to me a lot of just showing that he's just a really great guy and he's really great for the city of Buffalo, right?
100%. Seeing the videos of him like making cleats with like a
Yeah.
bunch of kids, and one of the kids I think didn't even realize it was him, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm
Yeah.
waiting for Josh Allen," and he walks in, and so
Yeah. I know what
she
you're
was
talking
like,
about.
"Oh my God, no, really?" She was so excited. It was so precious.
It's awesome. Yeah, no, he's definitely a great guy, and at least, what we see and him winning me the MVP was amazing. And I just love that like someone like you who literally does not care about sports in the slightest, like didn't know a thing about it, actually has such an interest in it and like you want to see a Bills game, right? I'm sure you do. Like
Oh yeah, for
our
sure.
great friend, yeah, like our great friend Hannah, who also like never really cared about football, saw the Bills this past season in like freezing cold weather. It was against the Patriots. Um and so our friends are interested, right? Maya got the Chiefs crew neck because she loves Tay-Tay, obviously, but she's interested, right? Alex was wearing her Kelsey t-shirt at Super Bowl. Our friends are interested, and it's really, really fun, and it's really nice for me as someone who, like, I've always loved sports since first year or my entire life, but you and I have known each other since first year, and like my room had helmets and jerseys and stuff. And now it's just nice, like I get to hang out with the girls, but like we also get to do some football talk, which is really fun. And yeah, I'm just excited for fantasy next year.
I'm stressed about it. If somebody else takes Josh Allen, Uh, Good
I
luck.
think I think it's an unwritten rule that no one gets Allen. Everyone is up for grabs, but no one touches Josh Allen.
I hope not. If somebody else takes him, they are going to be hearing from me.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
no,
will go nuts.
the beef in the group chat is also my favorite thing about doing fantasy. Like I said
Oh,
my long paragraphs and small essays and just like the subtle beef that we all have with each other is really fun.
it high key intimidates me a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's
Stresses
like
me out.
but it's so fun and I love that you're so into it now and like also, you would send it or you would post on Be Real of eating dinner or eating lunch, watching football on your computer alone. And I like the girls and I would be like, "Are you kidding me? Or is this the same Neal that we spent all these years with? She's watching football alone. She's watching a full game alone. I know you don't understand everything, but you are watching the whole game and you're interested. Like, how does that happen to somebody?"
Honestly, my neighbors probably think that I'm crazy. I probably sit and like clap in front of my computer screen like most people watching football, and they
Yeah.
probably think there's like a party in there.
No, I love it. I love it. And that's what it's all about. Like, and that's also what I love about Taylor Swift getting into football, like dating Travis. Because a lot of football fans weren't happy about it because they're like, we don't want to see Taylor on our screen. We just want to see football. But no, the thing is, I know it's not you, but a lot of people, a lot of girls, a lot of women got interested because of her. And the game is growing and growing and growing because of that, right? It's not just people who were raised in football. Like I love football my whole life because my family loved it. My dad introduced me to the Giants because he was a fan. So I was put into it. But a lot of people aren't, and if you're not, what are you ever gonna watch, right? But now a lot of people are interested, and the game has just grown and grown and grown, and like people who would never care to watch are now tuning into a game. Exactly. So I just think it's awesome to see, more women, especially involved as someone, as a woman who loves football. There's not that many people out there that I've been able to relate to, of just talking about football. So it's been really nice, and I'm happy that you're a Bills fan too, because
Thank you. Even growing up, football was not like sports are not on in my house ever.
yeah,
When there's like an occasional game, I think it's usually because my dad's bored and he
yeah,
just wants to watch something.
yeah.
But other than the Super Bowl, because my mom wants to watch the halftime show, it's never on in my house. So it's not like I was exposed to it. I got exposed to it from you and from our friends, but before that, zero.
Yeah. And listen, being a Bills fan is awesome because I'm a Giants fan, but the Bills, as I said in my other episodes, like I have always really liked the Bills, right? We live in Toronto. That's kind of it's our team, right? The Bills because we're so close to them. So honestly, picking the Bills is a great idea. And like who doesn't want to be a Bills fan right now, right? You have Josh Allen as your quarterback. Right? Josh Allen is my favorite player in the league, right? He is my favorite player, and I've never said that about a player who wasn't a Giant in my entire life, as you know, right? I had my Eli jersey at school, I had my Saquon jersey at
Saquon,
school. Yeah, Saquon Barkley. That's a whole. I talked about that in my other episode about him going to the Eagles. Oh, hi Jerry, my dog has just walked into my office. But yeah, so it's really nice. What's it called to be a Bills fan now, and I'm happy that you're a part of the mafia, and I'm excited to watch more with you next year.
me too. Honestly, I've come to love it. I was really sad. That game was a rough one. I was screaming. I was so mad. And I've told my cousin's fiance, so many of my family members to this day, even my grandfather, he asked if I watched the game. I was like, yeah, I was really upset and I screamed at my computer.
Yeah,
He's like,
that is
oh,
true. I
yeah.
was screaming a lot too. I was screaming a
I
lot
was
too. Trust
so
me.
mad. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I think the Chiefs are a great team. I just think because they had the past two wins of the past 2 years under their belt, I think that this would have been a really, really good year for Josh Allen, first of all, and for the Bills in general, because they haven't won for a really, really long time, from my recollection, right?
The Bills are losers, to put it
Okay.
lightly. The Bills do not win, unfortunately.
This shows my lack of.
No, 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 but it's just like they have been close, but 10 years ago, for example, or just prior to Allen becoming a Bill, they were garbage, that team. They were kind of the joke of the NFL. And it's so a lot of fans, so it's like a lot of people don't realize that this is new. Buffalo isn't used to seeing the Bills have success, right? The last time they were in the Super Bowl, they lost to the Giants because of a missed field goal. I believe it was. We weren't even alive yet. But the Bills were losers their entire life. So to see them have the success that they've had, led by Josh Allen, it really felt like it was their year. And unfortunately, it wasn't. And listen, I'm a Giants fan. I don't want it to be their year next year, the Bills, if it's the Giants. But if it's not the Giants year next year, I would love to see the Bills win it. You know, like I'm always gonna have that spot for them, for Josh Allen, and they just really deserve it. And I hope that we can all go to a game too.
I hope so. Honestly, I also had Khalil Shakir on my team, and he
Yeah.
had I'm not gonna lie, he had a few games fantasy wise that I was like, okay, he could have done better.
Yeah,
But I think himself and Josh Allen were a pretty good duo when it
they're
worked.
awesome. Yeah. They,
There obviously were times that it was missed and there was
mhm.
a drop of the ball,
Sure.
but it seems like that happens more often
Of
than people
course, of course.
like to admit.
That's the thing. Yeah, drop balls, pass deflections, whatever, flags here and there. But they are a great duo. And it's just really cool that you're witnessing them now and not, 7, 8 years ago, pre Josh Allen. And that's like kind of Bills fan now. Like if you're a Bills fan now, it's nice because you get to see them be awesome. While, as a Giants fan, it's just utter sadness all the time because they are the worst team in the NFL. I have hope for them, but
I feel
that's
like
a
the
whole other.
Jaguars are worse.
Jaguars, did they end? No. Trying to think. Jaguars are also in a bit of they have an issue going on. They have Trevor Lawrence though as their quarterback, their franchise quarterback, yet they're still having a lot of unsuccessful seasons. There's a lot of bad teams in the NFL, I'm not gonna lie, but the Giants might be the worst. But the Giants hopefully will be drafting a quarterback this
Fingers
upcoming
crossed.
draft or signing someone new. I know we were talking actually about Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
Uh, you told me, yeah, so he got waived by the Jets. It was pretty much a mutual decision, I believe, by both parties. He needs to go somewhere else. The Jets don't want to pay him to stay. Um, the thing though about Rodgers that though he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, 100%, he's no longer that player, and no one's gonna want to pay him a lot of money to sign a 1 year deal. Obviously it'd be kind of cool to see him on the Giants for 1 year. If they draft a rookie quarterback, they get Rodgers in for a year to teach his ways. That would be something interesting. Not sure if it's the smartest idea, but I'm not gonna lie, I would kind of like to see Rodgers on the Giants.
It's also crazy in my opinion, just because I know that Rodgers and Devontae Adams were both on a team together like years ago, and
Mhm.
seeing them reunite was great. I think they were a great duo, and now it's a bit unfortunate that that's no
Yeah,
longer.
it didn't work out the way we all thought it would. Devontae Adams had some good moments with them on the Jets, but obviously, Rodgers isn't the same guy he was when he was playing on the Packers with Adams. And it's all about the system in football too, right? A lot of players are great in one system and then they're bad in the other. So I'm not sure if we're ever gonna see that kind of great playing from either of them, but Devontae Adams is pretty great with the Raiders otherwise. But I don't know if we're going to see them have a reunion again. And I don't know if we're going to see Rodgers be a star again because this is the end of his career and he had a pretty disappointing season to say the least last year.
But honestly, it boggles my mind though, just to the algorithm for fantasy will never make any sense to me
Yeah.
ever.
Hmm.
But I would sit there and watch, and let me tell you, I reloaded that fantasy app like a fiend.
Yeah.
I continuously reloaded. Anytime I'd see one of my players get a few yards, I would keep refreshing and keep refreshing.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy to see like the massive difference because a player could be getting barely any points and still do pretty decent in an actual game.
Yeah, fantasy and like actual football is so different as like you and I have talked about. That's a whole other thing to learn because that's the thing. Like I know a lot about football, but I'm not necessarily the best fantasy player, and that's a whole other issue there. But my dog is barking at something and I don't know what it is. But anyways, that's gonna do it for us. We were on for about a little under 20. I want to thank you, Neil, for coming on the pod. My
Thank
first
you
ever
for having
guest
me.
as a solo podcaster, my first ever friend guest, aka my first ever guest who wasn't a part of sports in any way, if they're a coach, insider, reporter, player, former player, Hall of Famer. But I had a great time with you. I hope to have you back on. Obviously, gonna have the other girls on eventually. Lots to talk about. And then pre-draft, we're definitely gonna have a discussion pre-fantasy draft, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Neil.
Bye, guys.